I'm Eric Allen. I'm here with Joe Drilling.
Hey!
Morbid Coffee's hanging out.
Yes, I am.
What's up? This is Genesis or Genesisn't. I'm still kind of sick, so I don't know how this is going to go. I'll see. It might be 10 minutes long. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to play some Alien Soldier tonight, which is a treasure shooter that came out in Japan and Europe, but never came out in the United States.
It was on the Sega channel in the United States.
It never came out in the United States.
Much like Pulse Man and Mega Man: The Wily Wars, it was condemned to the purgatory of the Sega channel. Although this game works better on the Sega channel than, say, Mega Man Wily Wars, because that game actually had a save feature, which you couldn't use because when you turned off your Genesis, anything, like, the game itself cleared off of your system. Because they were just loaded to temporary RAM in the Sega channel. But this game uses passwords. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is that you are going to want to turn this. So there are two difficulty settings in this game.
Mm-hmm.
There is super easy and super hard. You're going to want to go with super easy.
Okay. For Mega Drivers Custom. Would I get to pick a loadout here, or do I pick a weapon? Or what's the...
You do pick a loadout, so you get to choose 4 of those weapons.
Oh, wow. Which ones do I
you
take?
So I find that the homing force, I typically go with the Buster Force, Flame Force, Homing Force, Sword Force. That's usually my pick.
Buster, Flame, Sword, Homing?
Yeah, that's usually what I go with.
Okay.
So the reason I chose this game is because last week we did our best of 2017, which you can watch on our YouTube channel if you missed it when it was live. And one of our top games of the year was Cuphead. And this game is really pretty much the direct sort of ancestor of Cuphead. This is a game that has some very short platforming, sections where you kind of kill some mooks and stuff. But really, for the most part, this game is just 25 boss battles stacked back to back.
Okay.
And you play as a Birdman in a robot suit. So, a couple things.
Falco's brother.
Yeah. So you have a defense move that by double tapping, which can deflect enemy bullets, but it doesn't just deflect enemy bullets, it actually turns them into health pickups,
Okay.
which can be super helpful. And when you're at full health, when you use the dash move at full health, it leaves a flame trail behind you and it does a lot of damage, but otherwise it just teleports you to the other side of the screen. But if you're at full health, it does damage to the enemies. So that is a hot tip to use that when you're able. Let's see here, what else? As you pick up, if you're equipped with a weapon and you get another weapon icon of that same weapon, it increases your capacity. You see your little blue energy bar there, tells you how many bullets you have. Yeah. So you can pick up additional weapon pickups that will not only give you more ammo. So your ammo refills when you're not using weapons. If you switch away from that weapon for for 30 seconds and go back to it, you'll have more of it. But picking up additional icons will refill it all at once and give you a higher limit for that weapon. Also, your mouse cursor is on the screen.
I don't know why people drive so many people crazy. It doesn't really...
Also, you can change the status window type. I usually change it so everything is in numbers, is like numerical, but that's up to you how you feel. But if you don't, but there's like 20 different options for how you can lay out your HUD. So, what else? If you duck and hit the change button, that will change you from moving and shooting to stuck on the floor and shooting, which can be helpful depending on the enemy. And you can stick to the ceiling. You can hover and you can stick to the ceiling. When there is a ceiling above you, you can sort of like gravity
I did that,
flip.
but I wasn't sure how I managed to pull it off.
Yeah, so there's this game is sort of it is the opposite of easy to learn and hard to master. It is a hard game to learn and also a hard game to master. But if you stick with it, and shooting enemy energy pickups for your weapon will automatically switch it to that weapon, which is kind of nice. So if you don't want to change weapons, you don't have to wait for it to cycle if you want to add on to the one you're using. So this is, you can really see, this is Treasure's third game, I believe. This was after McDonald's Treasureland Adventure and before Dynamite Heady, if I'm not mistaken. Although I might be mistaken. This might be after Dynamite Heady, but before the next Radiant Silvergun, I guess. You can sort of see that Radiant Silvergun, sort of similarly, Radiant Silvergun gives you a variety of weapons that you just sort of are equipped with from the get-go. And so you can kind of see that happening here. The down and jump move, even if you're not able to do damage with it, is really helpful in avoiding it's much longer than the Cuphead smoke bomb move, but it's similar. Yeah.
Well, especially if you want to use the aim shooting, then you can use that instead of having to try and dodge things.
Yep. Yeah, so I actually picked this game up, and when I mean, like, physically picked it up and put it in my Genesis, not like bought it, because it's really expensive. I put it on my EverDrive and picked it up to play it a little bit about a week and a half ago, and I got about halfway through it, just sort of putzing around with it. Yeah, did you put it on super easy, right? Not super hard?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, lovely easy. I was gonna say, because that on hard, I think that the only difference in hard is that they do more damage to you and they are harder to damage themselves. I think that's the only, I don't remember noticing any differences in enemy placement or anything, just like, oh, everything is way harder to kill and kills me way faster on hard. Whoops. Yeah, so that's kind of an annoying feature. If you don't shoot the thing and grab it, it gives you a different weapon.
I changed it back though.
Yeah. But beware of that when you see those. There's also life extender things that you'll see in some stages that you can grab that will give you a longer health bar. So one thing I'll say about this guy in particular is if you can keep your health up by the time you get to him and do the fire teleport, for lack of a better term for it, to him right away when you start fighting him, that does a lot of damage to him.
Shit.
Oh, and your bullet reflector move also does a lot of damage if you hit an enemy with it, but you have to be right up next to him to do that, so a lot of times it's not worth doing, but it does a pretty good amount of damage to enemies.
I gotta say, this seems fine, but the weapon switching kind of sucks.
The weapon switching sucks.
It's not a very, like, you should just hit a button to, like, cycle through would be a lot better, I think.
Right, and since this game came out so late in the Genesis life, like, the 6-button controller was definitely a thing, so... I don't know why there's not an option to use a 6-button controller and just like either have the top 3 buttons set as almost like hotkeys, like to the 3 weapons you're not currently equipped with, or even like you said, just set 1 button to just like, or even just tapping the weapon change button. You know, if you hold it, you can you know it could still bring up the wheel if you held it, but just tapping it would move to the next weapon. You know what I mean? Like that would be a better a better option.
Alright, I can't fight it until it does its ready thing.
Yeah, right. You can't do any damage to it. So yeah, this game was eventually released here, apart from its purgatory of the Sega Channel release. It got a release on the Wii Virtual Console fairly early on, if I remember correctly, and it's also part of that. If you have that Steam Genesis game,
Yeah, I was gonna say you can get it for $3 on Steam, I think.
yeah, and like whenever that thing goes on sale, like if you don't have that Genesis Classics or whatever it's called on Steam, that it goes on sale almost every Steam sale, and you can get like 30 Genesis games for like $5. You know,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, or any like individual games for like a quarter. Sometimes, like one year for our gift exchange, I was going to give Kurt, or I did give Kurt Gunstar Heroes, and it's one of the games in that, and I felt really cheap just because it was like the fall Steam sale is when we were like preparing for it that year, you know, and so instead of just buying like giving him Gunstar Heroes for like $1, I gave him the whole thing, because it was like, you know, it was on sale for like $10 or $12 or something for all 30 of the games. There you go. You did it.
Yeah, with no health left.
Well, so this game gives you infinite continues, so like if you died right here,
I get to come back here.
you would come back right here. That was a full stage, right? I mean, that's what the game is. It's a few of these guys every time, and then a boss, you know? So...
this game over screen. They really want you to know that the game is over.
And they very much want you to know that the game is over. And then they score you, you know, sort of continuously. Yeah, the problem with the Lancer Force that I have, I saw you were using it the last life or the life before that, is it just runs out of ammo so fast.
Yeah, I was just trying some of the other ones out.
Yeah, no, totally understandable. Somebody's excited. That gold thing with the blue light, I think, is a life extension.
I have to assume part of the reason that some of these weapons have really limited range is so that you can't use the teleport dodge too much.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, it's part of the design, right?
Also, some of the ones that have like the really long or the really short range, like the flamethrower and stuff, that's like
It's a lot of DPS.
It does way too much DPS for you to. I think the homing force, for me, I use the homing force a lot. It depends on the boss and stuff. But, that was sort of the one that I favored, generally speaking. Also, you know, in the name of sort of saving time, I didn't have you go through the the story scroll before the game starts, but it is bonkers. Like, and not just like in the normal way of like, oh, LOL, Japanese games of this era have weird stories, but like it's like inscrutable. Like they thought they were writing some sort of really intense space opera.
I
and
let
it's
it go
just
for,
yeah, it's super
I
long.
let it go for like 3 minutes at the beginning of the show, and I was still just scrolling through. So
that acid thing that he's in your double tap, like that turns into a lot of health pickups and will protect you from taking damage.
Yeah, I just got a bunch.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry, stream delay, so I wasn't sure if you figured that out. That was sort of the eureka moment for me came when I figured out like how to sort of judiciously use the counter move and when to dash, and that sort of for me is like when I was like, oh, because I hadn't played it in a long time, and when I loaded it up on my EverDrive last weekend, and I was like, you know, I was playing it, and I was like, do I not remember something? Like, I remember liking this game, but this is just really frustrating. Like, I'm having trouble beating the first boss, and then it's sort of like, once you realize how to use the dash and the reflect move, you sort of get into a rhythm, and you're like, oh, I get it now. This game is also on the treasure box, the PS2 Sega Ages treasure box disc that was only released in Japan, which in that era, that was sort of the best way to play it, because the emulation on those is done by M2, so they all like, are very high quality, but you know, I would say now for the price you would pay for that collection, there's probably better ways to to go about checking this game out. And I think that I love that thing's death animation. That's great. I think that Studio MDHR also really improved on this formula. Like, this is obviously, I think they must have played this game when they were making Cuphead. I mean,
well, they're obviously huge fans of like treasure
shooters, you know. So, you know, but I feel like in more ways than one, this is a blueprint for Cuphead. Not only in that it came beforehand, but also like I just feel like they improved on this formula in a lot of ways, aside from the amazing visuals. Oh, this game looks great, you know, for the style it's going for. I think this game looks great too. But, you know, obviously Cuphead is a sort of a whole different standard.
Yeah.
When you're talking about a game looking good.
Well, shit. Accidentally, I was trying to like double jump up to get that power up, and instead I stuck to the ceiling and then dodged myself right off the screen.
Yeah. I do also love the enemy design, the boss designs in this game, because they're just so weird. Like, what about, like, if a big red snapping turtle was a samurai?
They'll never sell. Ninjas with Ninja Turtles with swords?
Yeah. Whoever thought that would be a good idea? Speaking of them, they're coming as downloadable characters for Injustice 2, like, next week, apparently. So, you know, it's a thing. If you've ever wanted to beat up Superman with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, now you'll be able to do that. I also really like the just the sort of style of 16 and 32-bit games where they sort of make like a marionette almost out of like multiple sprites. Like you can tell that boss is made of like, I don't know, probably like 10 smaller sprites.
A bunch of round sprites that they all sort of like glued together.
Yeah, there's a lot of like Castlevania Symphony of the Night has a lot of
the Genesis Castlevania game.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. It also
they look very silly.
So there's one thing I miss about games from this generation that they need to bring back. Every time something dies, it doesn't just die, it explodes. And I want that to make a return.
Everything explodes all the time.
Nope, shit. Did it again. I don't want to stick to the ceiling.
Looks so weird when he jumps. Like the way that they rotate the sprites and stuff, like it just... Like I'm kind of waiting for him to do it again, because I don't think if his torso moves, I think the arms and legs just rotate, like, and the head rotate around the torso. Yeah. There's a stage later where you're on a train and you like explode out of the roof of the train and through the ceiling of the train and stand on the roof, and then there's like a dude and you think he's just like a regular looking guy that's gonna fight you, and he just mutates into this like giant, ridiculous monster with giant claws, and it's just like, I don't know, this is totally nuts, Well, I guess, some games are still like that. The enemies in, like, Bayonetta were, like, totally nuts. And sort of nonsensical, so... Bayonetta coming next week to the Switch?
Is that,
I think? Or this week? Next week?
February 13th.
February 13th. Next week. Comes with free Bayonetta 1, again.
Oh, Bayonetta 1 and 2. I mean, Bayonetta 1 comes with a free copy of Bayonetta 2.
Yeah.
Bayonetta
I don't know.
Bayonetta 2 is good, but Bayonetta
I kind of want to...
special.
Yeah, I kind of want to try it again, because it didn't... Like, Bayonetta 1 I loved, and Bayonetta 2, like, I remember playing it, and I got... I don't know.
Joe, what the fuck is this thing?
I mean...
It's got a fucking, like, Jimmy Durant. It's like Jimmy Durante mutated.
Yeah,
into an evil monster.
with a prehensile dick.
Yeah.
Ha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha! And you have to shoot it in the ass to kill it.
Give that one more shot, and I think I'm gonna call it a day here.
Yeah, that's understandable.
I think
but yeah, I don't know.
Bayonetta homing forces.
Bayonetta 2. That's not an entirely unreasonable tactic, I don't think. Bayonetta 2 I thought was fine, but you're right, it didn't scratch the same itch for me. But I kind of feel like I should give it another chance. And I'm looking forward to Bayonetta 3, so
Yeah, Bayonetta 2 was good, but it just wasn't like. It felt like it was lacking.
It didn't move things forward in the same way that I thought. Like, I remember Kamiya talked a bunch of shit about Bayonetta 1 and how it was going to move the sort of, third-person character action genre forward, and I was like, what more can we do with that genre that we haven't already done? And then I feel like it kind of did. Like it really, it sort of outdid Devil May Cry and Devil May Cry 3. You know, in terms of both like enjoyability and adding cool new mechanics that were fun to use, and just like overall improving that genre. And I guess I hoped that Bayonetta 2 would be a similar, you know, moving of the bar.
The first Bayonetta like really found a way to, like, the situations that it put you in were like the craziest that I'd ever seen.
Like, well, like at the end when you're like missile surfing to that island, like.
But then not only that, like you said, like but it was also like way more accessible than a lot of those games are. Like you could be very technical, but you could also just like mash out cool shit, and it didn't really punish you for playing one way or the other, which was kind of neat.
Yeah, if you played it, especially at a lower difficulty level, you could really just mash X, you know, to make your way through the entire game.
Right, but you still felt you could still kind of feel like a total.
But you still felt pretty awesome. Yeah. Whereas but on the higher difficulty level, on, you know, medium or the default hard, not like the ridiculous I beat the game and now it's ridiculous hard. You know, like using your witch time dodges and all that stuff, like, still made you feel like a total badass, and chaining together combos enough to be able to use the torture moves and all that shit was all just like super fucking dope. And I, again, like 2 was fine, but I just didn't like get the same feeling of excitement as I did with the first.
Shit.
But I mean, I'm hopeful for Bayonetta 3. Hey, Coffee, do Bayonetta and Bayonetta 2 come with all that weird Nintendo DLC stuff that was in the Wii U versions?
I don't know for sure, but probably, because it's literally just a port.
Right. There was a Samus outfit for her, and what else?
I think it's Samus, Peach, and Zelda.
Was there a Link one too?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I thought there might have been a Link one. Yeah, so you see how much damage that teleport, that like full energy teleport did.
That flamethrower does a shitload too.
Yeah, you just have to be like on top of him to.
Let's get to the next boss, and I'm gonna call it a day here. This weapon switching sucks.
Yeah, that is really my biggest complaint is the controls are a little cumbersome. Like, again, using a 6-button, like if they'd added a dedicated dash button with the 6-button controller, or a dedicated weapon switching button that just, you know,
Yeah,
you didn't
like
have
the
to
controls almost feel like something that, like, it feels like almost like something that would be like limited for like a Nintendo game or something. Like having to like use like totally unnecessary combos to do like really simple stuff.
So the hot tip on this weird crab thing is more or less to just stick to the ceiling and shoot him from the side. He doesn't really put out that much of a fight. Especially because the little crabs don't really actually do damage to you, they just like stop you from moving, so...
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, controls are a little cumbersome. I feel like someone could do a hack in this game and like make it function with a 6-button controller in a lot of cool ways, and it would be like a little more playable. The thing I also like about this game, which is one of the things I like about Radiant Silvergun, although for the record I do think Ikaru is a better game than Radiant Silvergun, which I think is like a mildly unpopular opinion. But is that, yeah, I figured you would. You're a man of refined taste, except when it comes to Mega Man games and which ones are the worst.
I thought we all agreed now.
Well, you think 7 is good though, so...
Not like really good, just kind of good.
Hey, you know what? Play Mega Man 2, play Mega Man 3. Skip the rest.
And then don't play any other Mega Man games.
Alright, that's Alien Soldier. That game seems pretty dope. Like I liked it quite a bit. Definitely the controls just feel unnecessarily complicated in some ways.
Yeah.
Like the amount of dicking around you have to do to switch weapons is a real bummer.
Yeah.
And like that treasure thing of like having to switch firing modes in some cases is like even for as much
that's
as
another
I love,
thing, like-
for as much as I even love Gunstar Heroes, like sometimes I wish it just kind of played like Contra.
Right.
Or and then you could just hold a button to stick your feet to the ground like Cuphead. But I mean, that's one of the reasons why Cuphead is so good, is that it can look at all these old games and borrow all the good shit. And
I mean, I
throw
think
out some
that's
of the
also a
good shit.
conscious decision in Gunstar Heroes to force you to do either one or the other.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think that was an accident that they were like,
Yeah,
oh, you
but
could
then
just have
that's-
a button.
Yeah.
But why give you 2 modes and then make you stick with one for the whole level?
Because some weapons work really well with one of the modes, and some weapons work really well with the other one. And I think if you could toggle back and forth, it would make the game a lot easier than it is having to sort of like
Right.
plan your weapon usage around whether your feet are stuck to the floor while you're shooting or not.
Right. Well, like this game lets you change, but in that case, it would just be better if I could just, like I said, if there was just like a Contra mode, so I could easily
Right.
run and
Yeah.
shoot stuff.
I just played some Contra Hardcore, the Japanese version. I loaded up on my EverDrive.
But also, it's like
earlier
against
this
the
week.
way the bosses are designed in this game, like sometimes you just want to be stuck to the floor and dumping. So I don't know.
Right.
It's fine. Man, Cuphead's so fucking good.
Cuphead's very good.
Cuphead is so fucking good.
Anyway,
For
that's
sure.
Alien Soldier. We'll be back next week with something else. We give this a
So Genesis, pretty.
Yeah,
Have you given up on the board? We've given up on the board. It says
Yeah, I
whether
don't-
game is Genesis or Genesisn't.
I haven't seen that board in like 20 episodes.
It's
Yeah,
gone.
it's been a while.
It's dissipated into the ether.
All right, well, we'll probably be back next week with another Genesis game. So
Probably, yeah. Bye.
Bye.